And welcome out to our live daily halftime report presented by Tackle Trading here on our YouTube channel. Coach Matt, Coach Tim here. And, I love the intro. I'm assuming that came through. I couldn't hear it very well. It might have been on my side. I don't know. But I do love the video and the audio on that intro. It kind of gets me fired up each morning, Matt. I like it. I like it. You need a little upbeat music in your life. You know what I mean?
No, it's nice. I like it too.
After the Bears broke my heart again last night and Aaron Rodgers stuck a dagger right into my back.
I'll tell you, Tim, once he came out of that locker room in the second half, I was thinking about you, and I was thinking about you later on that night when I knew he was going to do that. Aaron Rodgers is the man. Aaron Rodgers is the best quarterback in the NFL. And Aaron Rodgers is going to have many, many more storylines like that, especially over the Bears. I'll tell you, though, Khalil Mack showed worth every penny he was paid by the Bears, had a great game. You got to be happy for the future. The worry you have is Trubisky. I don't know if he's a legit quarterback.
I don't want to talk about it. I'll tell you this. My wife and I were huge Bears fans. We're actually going to Chicago and going to see a game this weekend. And I love football. You know that. We talked football last week. That's my favorite thing in sports is to watch the Bears play. Right. When Rodgers came back out, I knew we were done. We were up 20 points, and I knew it. I just had
20-0, and you knew you were out. Yeah. But to watch him play the way he did on that bum leg, I mean, say la vie. I'll take a line from you, but I'll tell you, Tim, the Bears have won in the past with strong defense and a running game. They showed they could do that yesterday.
Can I just say this? Those announcers were driving me nuts.
They made Aaron Rodgers sound like an angel.
First of all, Willis Reed comparisons because he rode on a golf cart. They put him on the golf cart just for precaution.
They put everybody on the golf cart.
Broken leg. All right, come on, get out of here. I'm done with the Bears talk. All right,
they really did drive that Willis Reed comparison, though.
1971, coming out of the locker room on a wheelchair. I'm done with the Packers. They keep breaking my heart.
We got to win.
Yeah. What happened with the lightning and everything down there in Miami?
You don't play in lightning. And Florida storms can come in nasty. I mean, they can switch like that. But it was like a 7-hour game. I took 2 naps in between the things. But to watch them get a win, I don't know if they deserved it. But they got it.
Right. I got you. All right, let's get down to business, Matt. We got a lot going on in the market today from a price perspective. It's not a big day in terms of news. There are a bunch of companies in the news today, some significant ones that I believe, but really the market is still in the same basic technical condition that we were in. Let's start with the S&P 500, Matt. We talked about a pullback pivot here. Green candle, not a lot of strength. I got to tell you, the market looked like it was going to open up with more strength. And after you read the daily chart, go down to a 5-minute chart and talk about the opening price behavior on the market. We came in from the international markets. It had started higher, and then we immediately sold off, and it's showing some weakness throughout the morning here. How do you interpret our Monday morning to start September 10th?
There's nothing happening today in the broader markets. We don't really have any economic reports. We don't have any positive, negative news coming out of the weekend. International markets responded favorably last night. That's why you were showing a little bit of a positive coming into today. You're up about 10 points coming into the market, and the market has sold off just a little bit intraday. But we're talking 6 points. We're not talking something dramatically here. The market's not really moving right now.
Kick it back from a 5-minute to a 1-hour chart, and then we'll go back to the daily. Multiple time frame analysis, by the way, out there. Halftime Crew. #halftime crew. Good morning, everybody. By the way, it's good to have you. Intraday analysis, Matt, is something I've done for a long time. I was trained on that when I was a new trader. I use the 5, the 15, the hour, the daily. I use a lot of different time frames. On the hour chart, it's looking okay. I mean, it looks like it might go back up. How do you use multiple time frame analysis when you're trying to understand the market?
First of all, multiple time frame analysis is very important to any trader. When you're day trading, you might get your trade signal off the 60-minute chart, which is the hour chart. You might get your actual trigger off the 15-minute chart. Some traders like, getting their technical set up on a 15-minute chart and then getting their trigger off a 5-minute chart. That's typically my preferred method of day trading, is getting the actual technical pattern off a 15-minute chart and then triggering off a 5-minute chart. When you're swing trading, you want to be familiar with the hour chart, but you also want to be familiar with the daily and the weekly chart. Mm-hmm. Long-term investing, you're looking at the weekly chart as well as the monthly chart. So different traders, different investors will look at different time frames for different reasons. So if you're looking at this chart on the 1 hour chart, you're looking at the S&P 500, Tim. You got to get a little happy. I mean, last week we were showing a lot of bearish momentum as this pullback. Mm-hmm. This pullback was kind of happening, showing a little bit of a reversal pattern, breakout back on the top side. If it can hold this little breakout point at 28.80, it's currently at 28.78. That could be very positive for the week coming forward. But overall, Tim, I'm looking at this on the daily chart. I'm still seeing a pullback, and obviously you would like to see that do more confirmation here today. But I always thought the trigger for this bullish retracement was going to happen today or tomorrow. It looks to me as though, we're halfway through the trading day, anything can happen, but there's not a lot of news out there. I'm expecting something a little bit more tomorrow.
Bullish pullback retracement, green candle is showing some interesting price action.
It's a good technical pattern, Jim.
The intraday chart is showing the potential for it to run here. I'm not loving it because there's no carry through, Matt. If you look at the percentage, and I think this is where nuances in markets come in. I mean, the market's only up 0.13%. We're up 3 points on the day. I like it. I'm interested. I'm looking for the bullish case in the market, but I'm aware that there is still some churning to happen here, right?
There is a bull case in the market. There's no doubt about that. But it's a stock picker's market, Tim. And there are as many good bearish setups as there are bullish setups right now.
Yeah, I agree with that. All right, let's go through all the different indexes. Go to the NQ next. Obviously, tech is going to get the lion's share of the headlines in this market lately. It always has been. Nice little pullback, but actually a weaker candle than the S&P 500. In the red for the day, Matt, up there 0.5%, nothing, or 0.01%, nothing going on. Doji candlestick, no action here yet.
No, again, same thing. We're looking at the S&P. It's stock pickers market. You find a lot of stock. We're finding a lot of tech stocks that are sitting at support, just waiting for confirmation. We'll wait to see when we get that confirmation, but we have not got it yet. And that's the thing that it's important as a trader to understand this, Tim, that patience is a virtue, and it's especially a virtue when it comes to trading the financial markets. We have a tremendous amount of stocks that are setting up for bullish retracements that are waiting to trigger, but you got to be patient and you have to wait for confirmation, which we have not gotten yet.
Patience is a virtue. There's no doubt about it. But you also have to be decisive. When it's time to trade, you have to put the trade in. And if we do get strong confirmation.
When we go 10% above the high, Tim, yeah, I'm going to trigger.
Sure.
And I'm going to wait till that happens. I'm not going to be premature going into it.
I agree with that. Okay. NASDAQ on a pullback, little doji candlestick. Let's look at the Dow Jones or the Russell, either one, either order.
I got the RTY up.
Mm-hmm. I like the rut here from one particular perspective. We had that multi-top, triceratops, whatever pattern.
Is that what we're calling it?
I don't remember.
Triple
Triceratops, I think. The triple toposaurus. It broke out. It's pulled back. Old resistance, new support. From a technical perspective, Matt, a breakout into a new one. This is what they call a kiss hello pattern. Now, the candle today is not showing strength. It showed some interesting action in the morning, but now we're at the low of the day on that candlestick. It has to do some more price confirmation before I could go bullish on it, but I like where it's at.
Well, that's what doji candles are, and that's exactly what we're seeing in the market right now. We're seeing a bunch of doji candles. So yeah, I'm not taking anything specifically positive out of this movement I'm seeing early this morning, but I'm not exactly taking anything negative here either.
Yeah,
dojis are neutral candles. Neutral candles as support are typically a buying type technical setup. That's how I'm going to take this until I see otherwise.
I agree with that. Move on to the Dow Jones, that YM contract up at the top of your list there.
A little bit of weakness.
Yeah, high base.
Not much. High base.
Out of all the indexes, I'm actually least interested in the Dow Jones Industrial Average, and it's probably got the most.
I hate to say it, Tim, but it's just boring.
Yeah.
It's so boring to analyze. It's so boring to look at. You're talking about old school, non-growth based companies. Don't get me wrong, they're fantastic companies, some of the best out there. But it's just, I mean, there hasn't really been a strong technical type buying signal or selling signal in the Dow for months.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I mean, the most we got out of the Dow was last week when we got about 10 minutes of conversation regarding the intraday movement after the manufacturing report. That's about how interesting the Dow has gotten lately. It showed some intraday, relative strength against the indexes on a manufacturing report, and that's about all we've had to say about it. It's just boring index.
It's been that way for sure. Let's go on to the commodities next and the dollar. Let's start with the dollar, actually, and then we'll get into the crude oil, natural gas, silver type discussions. The dollar, and to me, Matt, the whole conversation this month is going to be centered around the Federal Reserve at the end of the month. Mm-hmm. The stuff that happens in the news on a day-by-day basis is all subterfuge. It's all short-term noise until we actually see that Fed meeting when they raise rates and what the market does. I thought you said something really fascinating the other day, Matt. You might not even meant much about it. Is I'm wondering if they're going to raise 0.5% or 0.25%, right? Mm-hmm. I didn't even think about that part of it. I know they're going to raise 0.25%. If they came out and raised 0.5%, that could really shock the market. The dollar
would skyrocket. Every currency would go down. The market would go down. Commodities would get crushed, and the currency would skyrocket.
But that is still about 15 days out. In fact, the policy decision is 16 days out. It's 2 weeks from Wednesday. We've got some time between now and then, but that Fed meeting is a conversation we're going to continue to have.
You also have FOMC member Bostic giving a speech here right now. He also speaks on Thursday of this week. You have Brainerd giving a speech on Wednesday. You have Quarles giving a speech on Thursday. There's 4 Fed speeches this week. You have PPI report, CPI report this week as well. And then you have your consumer sentiment number coming on Friday along with retail sales. 16 days doesn't seem like a lot in life. Mm-hmm. But when it comes to the central bank and it comes to economics and when it comes to economic reports and when it comes to our president being able to say whatever he wants on Twitter, like he's Elon Musk, that is a world away for what the Fed is going to do 16 days from now.
It feels like it is a world away.
It's a quarter-point hike unless we see something dramatically happen in the next 16 days, though, T.
Yeah,
I would be shocked at nothing, and I'd be shocked at 0.5, but I'm not shocked at 0.25. I think that's a given at this point.
Yeah, I would be shocked at 50 as well, but I'm still bullish on the dollar. I know that you're more neutral on the dollar. I'm expecting a breakout. I do believe that breakout will happen. I'm not going to get aggressive with it until I get confirmation, but I'm looking for dollar upward price action. When I see it, I think that there will be action there. It's going to affect commodities as well. Part of my position in commodities is my overall philosophy I have with the dollar right now. Crude oil is down here today, and crude oil has been stuck in the middle of 65-70 range for some time, down 0.27 here today. Crude oil has been a cash flow call for a while, Matt. I know some people are going to look at this as a pullback, but that's a neutral chart. I mean, let's not try to make something that's not there. That's a neutral chart.
It is a neutral chart. 70s resistance, 65, 64 is currently support, Ken 67. And this is, we talked about this, Tim, in our Friday scatter report meeting that we have every Friday. There was me, you, Keith. Who else was there? Mark was there. Mm-hmm. Grant was there. Gino, Noah, a couple others were there as well when we were going through our scatter reports. And, the question I posed when we were in that meeting, when we were looking at crude oil and looking at energy and basic material is this a retracement that legitimately we could go out there and buy? And I think it caused a little bit of a conversation to happen, which was really, really good. You do have a neutral type pattern here, Tim, mm-hmm. but you were overextended coming into the potential breakout. It's retracing back down. It's slowing its momentum. On Thursday and Friday, tested 67 both days, responded favorably both days. Today, showing a little bit of weakness, down 0.47%, down 32 cents on the day so far. But can 67 act as a support? And the question I'll pose to you, Tim, is would you buy this if we do have confirmation, let's say somewhere a close above 68? Could that be a legit buying signal for you off of this retracement?
Nothing aggressive. I mean, you could do something that has a slight delta bias, like a naked put or a covered call. Whereas in a philosophical sense, when you line up all your strategies, it says slightly bullish or moderately bullish. Nothing aggressive. I would not call it a directional trade. But if I had to put on like a bull put spread above that 68, I could feel fine with that if I had enough cushion and probability and enough cash flow and whatnot.
I think naked put, bull put works here. I think you're still in cash flow type strategies with crude oil. I wouldn't do anything from a bear call, naked call type level, but a bull put, naked put might work here. I'll tell you the trading signal that could happen to where I would be a buyer though is a close above $70. And the difference between buying the breakout of 70 this time versus last time is if you do find support at 67, Tim, you only have $3 to run into the breakout of 70 versus where you found support all the way down here at 64 and a half. It had to run $5.50 before it wanted to break out. So you will have more room to run if it does in fact confirm on the breakout of 70. To me, this is neutral until we see a breakout. It reminds me of when we were looking at gold from, what was it, 1300 to 1360, that neutral call in gold. And we said, okay, I don't care which way it breaks. You know, obviously we wanted it to break up because we do believe in gold, but you know, we don't care which way it breaks. Let's trade the break. And I kind of feel like the same on crude oil here, Tim. I don't care which way it breaks. I'm just not going to do anything outside of cash flow systems until it breaks out.
Well, you got to think about crude oil. I mean, it's a reflection of global economic demand. And when there's so many questions about what's going on, it makes sense why it's stuck in a range, you know, and until I get confirmation and a break, I'm with you 100%. Let's move on to gold.
One quick thing, we don't really analyze Brent crude oil a lot. Brent crude oil showing relative strength against sweet light crude oil. So if you are looking at an oil trade, you might look at Brent ahead of crude right now.
Yeah, I thought that was a really interesting call Coach Noah had on Friday. I found that fascinating. That's why I love that meeting, Matt.
Love it.
I love it too. All right, let's move on to gold. And gold stuck at 1,200. We've been talking about this for a week or so. I've been bearish on gold. You've been bearish on gold over time, but you made a comment a few days ago I found fascinating where you said, Tim, it just feels like it's stuck here, you know, and it is compressing and tightening its candlestick ranges around that 1,200 mark. Matt, the trend usually wins out in this fight when you have a symmetrical triangle, but symmetrical triangles, is that a symmetrical triangle, first of all?
You could make the argument. I still think it's a bearish retracement, but you could make an argument of a symmetrical triangle right now. I mean, a symmetrical triangle is basically this, for those of you watching the halftime report. You basically have resistance coming down, support coming up. It creates this type of triangle type situation where it puts a lot of pressure on the stock to break out one way or the other on this. And what I will say about it is if you kind of draw your lines connecting them right there, and then you draw your lines connecting them right there. Yeah, I mean, you could make it work, but to me, that doesn't make sense. I still think this is a bearish retracement. However, I will say this, Tim. I think this is going to be a quick trade. I think you're going to pop one way or the other pretty strong. And in that capacity, it does have some symmetrical triangle type characteristics to where when it does break out of the pattern, you have quick movement one way or the other. I do expect rather quick movement on this gold trade, either up or down. Maybe it's a key economic report coming out later on this week that might drive that behavior, whether it's, you know, the CPI report certainly could drive the value of crude, as it certainly will drive the value of the dollar. So keep an eye on Wednesday when you get both the PPI report and the core PPI report. And then on Thursday, you get the CPI report. Those are the 2 days I'm looking at for the dollar, for gold, for crude to really kind of start driving. You don't have a lot of economic data coming before then. Look for Wednesday, look for Thursday for those key driving days.
Give me a quick look at Bitcoin. I saw 2 products were halted over the weekend in the cryptocurrency space. You know, it doesn't get a lot of pub anymore, Matt, because we think of Bitcoin volatility as crazy, but that thing just got pumped up to 7,400, back to 6,200, literally in a week.
Yeah.
I don't know who's making all the money in crypto these days. I really believe there's somebody still is. These transactions and price movement, there's volatility.
The Facebook warriors of 2017 regarding crypto, they're no longer doing crypto, Tim. They're doing marijuana stocks. All of a sudden, all those experts over there on Facebook are now doing marijuana stocks. It's insane. I'm starting to see it again, Tim, with these exact same people who were doing these Facebook lives, touting crypto, touting the new IPO, the new ICOs. Now they're just experts on marijuana. I mean, the insanity of it all. Why do people listen to this nonsense? I don't get it. It's like, well,
first of all, this is not a new phenomenon.
Marijuana is making us all rich, Tim.
I'm looking for a book on my shelf. I have to find it. People have been crazy forever, Matt. Of course they are. They're investors.
I agree, but Facebook is like Facebook and Twitter and Instagram. It allows, it's like throwing gasoline on a fire to the crazy.
Sure. Put up TLRY. When you said that they're looking at marijuana stocks, I'm thinking, well, yeah, popular delusions and the madness of crowds. I mean, this is what human beings do. They go after greed. Pot stocks, some stocks are going crazy. When a stock goes from 20 to 80 in a month, Matt.
Well, that just means it's going to go to 180 next month.
You never know, but the volatility is what attracts people, right?
Whatever. Listen, go get rich quick. Go do it. See how long that lasts.
It doesn't usually work out that well.
No, everybody that's going to get into these things now that the price movement's already been made, they're going to be like, oh, let's go get rich. Let's go get rich. We can double our money in 3 days in marijuana companies. Good luck to you.
Yeah. I'll tell you guys out there, if you're going to be a trader.
I don't feel bad when those people lose money, Tim.
No, but I do want to help them if they want help. You can't. Greed and fear are natural emotions, and it's okay to want to make money. I get that. And I understand the instinct of going to chasing something that's in the news. Somebody's probably touting this. It's all over all the news sites and all that kind of stuff, Matt. So when you're a new investor, just be aware that your greed is real, and avoid it. You got to trade with a system. It's okay to go for momentum and trends, but you can't just follow the most recent trend and expect that's going to work out forever, right?
No, if you're getting your investment advice from the Facebook warriors, I just want to say thank you.
Yeah, I agree. The Facebook warriors. All right. I do want to talk social media at some point here today. There's a bunch of stocks in the news as well.
Let's talk those social media companies, Tim, because let's throw it out. Okay. We've done this in the past. Let's throw it out to the halftime crew. If you had to buy one, Facebook, Snapchat, or Twitter. Now, Tim, make me a buying case for Facebook here.
They have a global audience that is bigger than almost every country on the planet except for China and India. They have the potential to market globally in a way that they don't have to just be tied to the United States. They have some of the smartest and best developers in marketing. Then they know how to create advertising and
number one online marketer.
Consumer behavior is to move onto their phone and devices, and that hasn't changed. The same reason why Facebook was one of the hottest stocks for years, the underlying basic premise has not really changed. That would be the case.
Despite all the negativity around Facebook in the last year and a half, Tim, their consumers still use it.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, the biggest concern for Facebook right now is growth in the future. Right. I mean, that's kind of the concern is, can they continue to grow at the same rates, if not higher rates, in the next 10 years that they grew in the first 10 years? I mean, that's the biggest concern for Facebook. What about Twitter? Here's Twitter, TWTR, just getting absolutely crushed underneath the 200-day moving average, sitting right here at $30. Is there a bullish case on Twitter right now?
Yeah, I think that as users start to understand how to use Twitter, and especially as Twitter gets rid of some of the bad elements that they had in
I
terms
like
of
what Twitter's been
data
doing.
mining and all that kind of stuff. They could legitimize their platform, and they could also create a brand that people look to for news and information. You can either be a Trump supporter or not, but one thing that Trump has showed us with Twitter is that you can get your message directly to people without having to use traditional channels. Same thing with a lot of the people we talked about out there.
It's amazing that Twitter with 280 word count is his number one vehicle to get his message out.
For sure.
But it's true though. That is his number one way he gets his message to his base, his tweets.
Yep. So I think there are some fundamental views of Twitter that I believe that could become very strong. I've actually liked Twitter for a long time now. I know that the chart is ugly. There's no doubt. All the social media charts.
All the social media charts are nasty though, right?
Yep.
I mean, but personally, I like Twitter more than I like Facebook. I can't stand Facebook. Facebook drives me nuts. But I like Twitter. I like the fact that I can get news on Twitter. I've seen financial news break more often on Twitter than on any website.
I'm using Twitter more than I ever have. I mean, if that's an indicator, I use Twitter more than I ever have. So I love it. You know, and
I too. I love Twitter from a news perspective. Easily to block trolls and all that jazz. You know, there's this guy I follow on Twitter, and he said one time, and I do believe it. Facebook is for like your high school reunion buddies, right? Twitter's for the professionals. Okay, and that's kind of how I see it as well. So I kind of like Twitter.
That's true, but I'll tell you something. We were sitting around the table last night at dinner. And my wife just leans over to our friend Sylvia and says, Sylvia, this is why I love Facebook. And she shows pictures from years and years and years. Now, I know you can do that on Instagram too, but I think Facebook is for the family as well. And like, you know,
but Facebook's driven more through business these days.
I get it.
People use it for family purposes. I get that. But I think Twitter does have more of a professional use than Facebook does. What about Snapchat?
I asked Cody.
I can't make a bullish argument for Snapchat. I don't think this company should exist. But
Cody, what do you use Snapchat for? What do people use Snapchat for?
Sharing friendly adult pictures.
Before in our prep, because Snapchat's in the news today, and I asked Cody, why do people use Snapchat? Do you use it? I don't use Snapchat. I think I installed it once, never really used it.
I've never snapped. Is it even called Snapped? I know, like with Twitter, it's called you tweet something, right? When you put something on Snap, what is that called? I have no clue. I've never used
it. Snapchat.
It's called a Snapchat.
Snapchat. Yeah. Okay. I made this statement when it came out as IPO, and I said this was a dog company back then. It's a dog company today. I said the primary purpose for Snapchat is for people like Brett Favre to get his penis pics erased from memory. And if that's the primary purpose of your company, then that is not a viable investing company. You should move on. I think that today. I thought it back then. This is a garbage company. I can't stand it.
Well, let's make the bullish case. I have heard, and I can't make the bullish case because I don't know enough about the tech, but I've heard actually some of their algorithms and the way that they actually create the tech on the coding behind it is pretty impressive. And I think they've got an edge in some of those areas. But I'll tell you, Snap was in the news today, Matt. Their chief strategy officer, Imran Khan, decided he's going to step down. And if you look at this chart and you go back, I want you to go back to the IPO because this is what fascinated me. Kick it back to a 3-year weekly. Guys, I think Snapchat is a reminder that when an IPO goes bad, it can go really bad. Okay. Snapchat IPO'd at $29 and people bought it instantly. It came out at 24, jumped to 31 within the first week.
Now, when we talk about people though, Tim, we're not talking institutions here. We're talking about people who use Snapchat.
Correct. Yeah. And when the IPO proved that it was not going to become a bullish chart and Snapchat's fundamentals did not become attractive to institutions, it went into a downtrend. Broke below 24. The entirety of 2017, Matt, was pretty ugly. It found a bottom there about 12 for a while, but now we've broken below that and long-term trends. It's hard for me to justify Snapchat. And a lot of beginners would look at it and say, well, Tim, Snapchat's only $9. Maybe I should get Snapchat. Out of all the social medias,
go buy one share of Amazon and thank us later.
Yeah. If you made me pick, I would probably pick Twitter, but that's just, I think
I would have to say Twitter. I would have to say, and this is a little bit of my own personal bias because I don't like Facebook or Snapchat, but I think Twitter is the better viable candidate. And Tim, saying that a year ago, you have been laughed at.
Yeah. Yeah. Snapchat's ugly in the news today, down 3.5%.
You already have 4.3% on the covered call and selling a 40 delta on Snapchat. That's the only redeeming quality.
But here's the trap. When you buy it to do covered calls in a downtrend, it can be very, very difficult to manage.
What are we in 9 months? We're 9 months into the year, right?
Yeah.
So let's say you're averaging 4% on the covered call. Snapchat's down literally what, 50% year to date?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So Snapchat's down. No, it's down 33% year to date. You could have offset that if you were perfect with the covered call. Right? I mean,
yes.
If you were perfect with the covered call, you could offset that loss, but nobody's perfect with anything in any application of any system. So best case scenario, you offset some of the loss. That's a positive, but outside of that, there's nothing here.
It would have to show me something. Obviously not going to buy the stock on a negative day like today and negative news that's driving it even lower. Pretty bad day there for Snapchat, losing their chief strategy officer. A couple other stocks in the news, Matt. Tesla, we talk about Tesla like every day these days. They did come out and say they're going to have instant delivery on their Model 3 production. So if you buy one, you can actually get the car and you don't have to wait for it. Change it from a weekly back to a daily. Stock is bouncing back, but Matt, that's a bear retracement setup. Tesla's not out of the woods here by any stretch, correct?
No, I in fact, I believe we put a long strangle on the options report this week, didn't we?
Did you? Yeah, bi-directional long strangle.
Bi-directional long strangle. Mm-hmm. I think that's the only way to play Tesla at this point is bi-directionally. I thought that strangle straddle call on the options report was the right way to go about it.
Yeah, it's
very news driven.
It's going to be a news-driven stock. You're going to get volatility. Learn how to play bi-directionally. By the way, if you're out there in the halftime report, right here at halftime, go ahead and give me a quick like on our post on YouTube and a share if you would. We've got a good audience out there here today. CBS in the news. Les Moonves, one of the most powerful people in media, Matt.
Not anymore.
Step down. Not CVS, CBS. He might need to go to CBS.
He's not deal. Are you saying one of the most powerful men in media is not working for a healthcare company?
No, but he might need to go to CVS and get some Advil.
He might need to go to CVS and get some ointment.
We're going to leave that alone. Down, bearish, red candle. When you lose an executive, it may not change the fundamentals, but it does change the perception of the company. Market's not liking this here today. Not great news. Snapchat, we already talked about. Alibaba in the news here today, Matt. This one, I think, is probably the most significant one of the entire.
There's smoke here, Tim.
When there's smoke, there's
fire. Like Tesla.
I agree.
Comment on Tesla. Something's going on with Jack Ma from Baba. I don't know what it is yet. We're going to dig into it this week, and we're going to uncover what's going on with Jack Ma. But, I said it with Tesla. There's smoke there, and that was before he started puffing on a Joe Rogan podcast. I said there was smoke. There's got to be fire. There's smoke here with Jack Ma stepping down. It just smells bad here.
I don't know the man.
Obviously, this nonsense too.
I know his public persona, and he's very charismatic, and he's out there on social media all the time. And he is like that Chinese Bill Gates, right? I mean, he is the guy out there, just entrepreneur, and he's a billionaire, one of the most successful ones at that.
He's more liked than Bill Gates.
He's only 54 years old, Matt. He's 54 years old, and he came out and said that he is going to move on from the company.
At 54, he's going on to the point in his life where he just gives to charity. I don't buy it.
Maybe.
I don't believe it.
I mean, maybe, I don't know, but obviously the market does not like this. Here's the other problem. Tesla is a $500 billion company. In fact, their market cap is probably down from that, from all the selling recently, but they were, around $500 million, $500 billion company.
I think Tesla's like around 180 right now, 160.
No. Baba, I meant if I said
Baba's
Tesla,
like 500. Yeah.
Yeah, about 500. So Baba is such a big company. They're one of the largest companies in China. Them and Tencent, I think they go back and forth.
Largest companies in the world.
For sure. Yeah. And when you lose a CEO and when they are moving on, it can hurt the company. There's no doubt about it. We saw that with Apple during the transition period, and I don't know what's going to happen here, but that is an ugly chart. And it may indicate some of the real weakness in these emerging markets. Mm-hmm. At the EEM, the FXI, all the stuff going on internationally from a global perspective, we are in a nasty downtrend. And when one of the biggest companies in the world that is a part of all of those indexes is breaking down on weak news, you've got it. Is this a bear market right now? I mean,
internationally,
yeah,
internationally it is. When you're looking at the EEM and then those other emerging markets, when you're looking at the all world index out there, when you're looking at the international markets, you are absolutely in bearish territory in many of the emerging markets. Their currencies are getting crushed. Their stock markets are down over 20%. This thing will have an impact on us over time. We have to understand that. This is concerning to me. We've talked about it in the past. We're going to continue to talk about it. And as you continue to see weakness here in the emerging markets, you'll see weakness across the board in your companies like Baidu, Alibaba, Weibo, these international companies. The U.S. markets have not been hit yet, Tim, but that does not mean they can't be hit. We're still talking about the top of a long-term bullish market. We're still talking about price valuations being completely overextended. You're talking about the second most overvalued market in the history of the modern markets. The warning signs are there, but at the same time, you got to trust your eyes. You got to trade the price action. And until further notice, I'm short the international markets and I'm long the U.S. market.
Well, I think that's the right call. I mean, that's been the play here. And with Baba breaking down, I think you've got to continue to see that as the continued.
You got to sell into weakness, Tim. You just got to sell into weakness. You can't be the type of trader who says, oh my goodness, I could have bought Baba, 2 months ago at $200. I'm getting a discount at $155. No, you're not. You're still paying premium.
I did find his letter, Jack Ma, going back to Baba, very interesting. He mentioned that he's planned this succession plan for 10 years. So in his estimation, this has always been in the works and he was going to do it anyway.
I don't believe the words of rich, powerful men.
Well, I mean, that's what he's saying right now.
Not when there's other evidence there.
The market doesn't like it either.
Alibaba has a history of doing bad things to its own investors. It's got hit in the past for pump and dump schemes. I definitely believe there's something else here with Jack Ma. We're going to dig into it and we'll let our listeners know whatever we uncover.
For sure. Apple Computer in the news, obviously over the weekend, Trump was talking about more tariffs. Apparently he's got this $260 billion of goods that he will put tariffs on in his back pocket. He's going to use it at all times.
I hope those tariffs drive Apple down to 210 and I'll buy a ton of it.
Well, it's on a pullback right here. And he actually went after Apple because, Apple's talking about, well, we might have to move some of our production and this and that. And Trump said, listen, I mean, you've benefited from the zero tax policy and I don't remember the exact nature of the tweet, but he went after Apple a little bit here. Shareholders of Apple don't like it. It's on a pullback. Probably one of the most.
Apple said they were going to have an increase in cost because of the trade wars. Okay. Trump hit Apple back, said, well, if you would just, basically model everything in the US, you wouldn't have these tariffs. And that's why. And I'm thinking, Trump, you just don't understand basic economics. Like literally the basics of economics. The number one cost that goes into a product is called G&A cost. That cost is your internal production of your employment cost. The U.S. consumer, the U.S. worker is one of the highest paid workers in the world. And where Apple produces its phones is some of the cheapest ones. Now, I'm not okay with these types of sweatshop type environments, but it does allow the U.S. consumer to pay a cheaper cost. And so if you are a supporter of these types of policies where we create these trade wars and we get away from our free trade agreements that we've had over the last 40 years, have fun buying a $4,000 iPhone because that's what's going to happen. And then you're going to bitch and moan about it at that point. I'm going to say, what? Well, told you so. That's what happens. If you want to produce everything in the U.S., enjoy U.S. prices.
It's true. And really Apple, that's one of the reasons if we are going to go into some of these trade wars, they're not going to be able to benefit from some of the relationships they've had. Investors don't like it today, but I got to tell you, I still love Apple. I'm looking at that chart as a retracement. I'm interested. I want to see some action to confirm it. There's no doubt about it, but I do like the pullback. There's no question.
Well, and let me continue talking about Apple for a second here, because it goes back to what we were talking about on Friday when we were talking about where these support levels can happen, right? And when you have a momentum-based stock like Apple, there is massive ranges from a old support, new resistance, all those different ranges, Tim. When I'm looking at Apple, you have support here at the 20-day moving average. That's where it's at. You have a slight support at 215. You have a very, very important support on the old breakout at 210. That's right in the middle of kind of those two rising moving averages. You also have the 50-day moving average here at 205. And then, Tim, come on, if it goes down to 200 and pivots at 200, you would still be a buyer at 200. Would you agree?
If it pivots here, I buy. What are you talking about?
Well, that's my point. If it pivots here, if it
pivots anywhere, I would buy this thing.
Yeah, I mean, that's my point, is that the ranges of support here are really, really big, from the 20-day moving average to the 50-day moving average to 210 being the previous breakout. I think this is a really, really good opportunity. You know, obviously you don't buy buy it today. You let it stop, you let it slow down, you let it confirm. But this is definitely a stock everybody should be looking at literally every single day, to wait for that slowing momentum, wait for that upward movement in price. And then if it ultimately doesn't do it, no harm, no foul. But if it does, at least you're prepared to take advantage of that.
Well, I think it goes back to the nature of what trading is. You don't get to determine what the price action is. You have to respond to it, react to it, and do something about it, right?
Absolutely.
URI also in the news, United Rentals, interesting chart, in my opinion, looking like a breakout. They've got a takeover, and they bought out some smaller company that they're going to be looking at acquiring. Green candle breakout. Keep an eye on it, Matt. $160 price tag.
Tim,
we had three.
Speak to this real quick, though, because buying a retracement and buying a bullish breakout of an all-time high is easy. Would you agree with that? Those are two of the easier signals to trade.
Correct. Yep.
Okay. Number one, as a consumer, we're always thinking price up. That's number one. Number two, when it breaks out of an old-time resistance level, there's nothing up above it, which means it has a lot of room to run. Reversal breakouts are a little more difficult, but they do represent tremendous opportunity. So I want you to speak to that reversal breakout opportunity here very quickly.
Well, reversal breakouts are going to have churn, and they're also going to be fighting bearish traders and profit takers more than even an upside breakout. Usually high base breakouts, ultimate high, for the yearly high or the all-time high, they have a tendency to be a little cleaner, in my opinion.
Agreed.
A reversal breakout can be sticky. It doesn't mean it's a bad signal. It's a good tradable signal. But what you're doing is you're trying to turn around, a freighter, Matt. You're trying to turn around a big ocean liner. It's been going down for a long, long time. You're in a downtrend. And now ever so slowly in July and August for a month and a half, you put in a higher low. You put in a higher low. You put in a higher high. And here we are breaking out on some volume. It's going to take some time. This is a stock that has people that are waiting for it to get back up there. You have investors that have been holding it during the downtrend. So I think you just have more of a fight on your hands, in my opinion, Matt. You have more.
You do, but you got a real good W formation here.
But this is why people love it.
That's textbook reversal type W. Double bottom, double top, retracement back into support, carry through on the breakout. That's a pretty decent technical signal. I like that find. Tim, what's your trade of the day?
Well, and with URI, the one last thing I'll say is on a reversal breakout, I'm personally more likely to trade it as a position trade, not a swing trade. It usually is a trend developing, takes some time, that kind of thing. I like Intel breaking down. See, I'm bullish in general, but what if it's not? What if the market turns? Intel is one of my favorite companies. We put it on a fundamental list. I like the numbers behind it earlier in the year, but they've got international deals that are affecting their chips. They have other competitors that are taking market share like AMD. Intel sitting on support. If that thing breaks down, it's a clear trigger. And if the market does turn, you got to have something bearish. That's my trade of the day. What about you, Matt?
Market's down 1% in the last week. Intel's down 20% in the last 2 months. Even if the market turns, Intel still can go down. They are prone to some of that risk in China. So I like that pick. That break would be down underneath 46, in my opinion. My trade of the day is WB, another one on the bearish list here. I love the consistency of the bearish downtrend here. I love the potential break of $70 of the old support level, showing weakness today. A close under 70 is my trade of the day. Cody, you have a buy side trade, I believe you're looking.
Yes. I was looking at Walmart.
Walmart.
After that gap up on earnings, came back down, touched that 95 support level. On its way back up, had a doji on Friday. I like the movement. I can see it breaking to the upside, running to 100 very easily.
You know, this was a call of ours coming out of the post earnings gap. Sometimes stocks take a while to confirm, right? So sometimes they don't V-shape and go straight back up for victory. Mm-hmm. I really like this. And when we were looking at this, Cody, in our scouting report meeting on Friday, my take was you have very clear resistance here at about 96.5, 97. Anything above that level would be very, very bullish. I like that pick. On a day where the market's kind of doji, Walmart up 1%, you got to like the strength coming into that.
Yeah, I agree. Guys, that is our halftime report. Matt, go and bring the screen down there for just one moment. You know, one thing I want to do as we wrap this up here, first of all, thanks for being here, everybody. Great to have you. Hashtag halftime crew. You know, Matt, in the notes, and I didn't even think about this until this morning. I did not know this. So thank you, Cody, for reminding me. It is National Suicide Prevention Awareness Day. And I think that's a topic we should never be shy about talking about, you know. And guys, we've all had somebody in our life probably that has gone through that, and that we've all dealt with the pain of dealing with something like that. Be available emotionally, be there, have conversations with the people you love and care about, reach out to somebody, you know, and if you are going through something like that, I mean, do not hesitate. And frankly, if you know me, I would love to talk to you. Okay. So,
yeah, just reach out. Never assume things are the way you think they are.
Yeah.
We've all had to deal with these things in our life. You know, personally, I've had a couple of good friends of mine when I was in college commit suicide. People in my family have had to deal with this.
Yeah.
Depression and how depression works. And so just be open, reach out. And it's something we should all be aware of and help each other out. So,
you know, we get so busy making money out there, and I'm a capitalist. I'm an entrepreneur. I like the challenge of business. I love the challenge of markets. Matt, I love the market. I love trading. I love everything we do. But sometimes it's important to take a step back and remember we're people, we're humans, we're in this together. Just be aware of that today. It's National Suicide Prevention Awareness Day. I thought it was an important message to get out there. And if anybody out there does need to ever talk to somebody, I would love to talk to you. Okay.
Yeah. We're always there for our team in every capacity, Tim.
Yeah. Great job today on the prep, Cody. Great job, Matt. Great job myself. I'll even give myself a little pat on the back.
You should. Great job by you.
Great job, Aaron Rodgers. You broke my heart one last time. Guys, we will be back. We'll be back tomorrow at the same time. Halftime report, tackle trading, like, subscribe, share. Let's get the word out.
Trade Justice newsletter came out as well, Tim. Make sure you're going over there to tradingjustice.com to get the latest edition of the newsletter. Great wrap up to our 3-part series on system development. So definitely check that out. Like and share on YouTube. For the pro members, guys, make sure you're checking your scouting reports today. Lots of triggers coming into the next couple days on those scouting reports. Love those 4 scouting reports that are coming out. Got the coaches show later on tomorrow night, Cash Flow Club later on the week. We got a big week at Tackle, guys. We're here to support you guys with whatever you need. So team at Tackle Trading if you need us, and then hashtag Team Tackle over there on Twitter. Thanks, guys.